we're here today with Mitchell Lurth, now of Nebraska.
That's right.
Engraver, stone setter, jeweler, artist, all things, and JRS Training Center instructor. So
that's right. The best part of all those things
is that one?
Is the training, yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what you're going to do today, and then I just have a few questions for you, and we'll get rolling.
Sure. I'm going to do the traditional cowboy star. This is for Shane Garrett. He is like the one that does the cowboy star all the time. Way back in the day, he would demonstrate this all the time. So I'm going to, idolize him and do a cowboy star today. Even though on record, I hate the cowboy star.
Okay.
So, this is a big yes. Yes, it is.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll let you kind of get cut in here, and I just have some questions for you. So
sure.
Explain to us how you got started.
Well, would you like to have the elevator pitch version, or would you? Okay, because it is kind of a long story. But I first got into knowing about hand engraving through printmaking. I was printmaking at a community college back in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And so there I learned how to hand push, and I really liked it. It was really cool. My mother at the time was a manager of a jewelry store in Marion, Iowa. I go home with these plates and these designs on them, and she's like, you can do that for a living. We send stuff out to get engraved all the time. And she was like, in fact, I think you should check out Sam Alfano was the first thing that popped in her head. And so we went to Sam's website, and I saw on his website his famous penny that he did. He has the Lincoln, and he has the scroll work around it. And it's so small and so detailed. And when I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. And so we decided to we looked up GRS, found out, who makes these tools. She was in the jewelry industry, so she kind of knew about GRS and stuff like that. But found out about the week-long courses, and took my first course with Rex, and loved it. Wanted to come back for more. Took my second class with Sam, I believe. It was a lettering class. And Sam was so nice to talk to the manager of GRS. It was Kim Pimber at the time. And he was like, you got to get this kid to come down here. Because at the time we had an internship program and the Artisan Alley. Jake Newell was also a part of that as well. And to talk to Kim, she was like, gave me an opportunity to come down here, go to local college, work for GRS during that time. I've been throughout the company during that stint through assembly, R&D, technical service as well, did that on the phone. But that's how I kind of got to where I am today anyways. After I got done with college and everything like that, I promised my parents that I would move back and help out in the jewelry store. And so I worked there for about 10 years. Wife got a promotion, which required a little bit of a move, and decided to go out on my own. And now I'm just doing mostly hand engraving instead of the mixture of stone setting and hand engraving. But sorry, maybe that was a little longer than
that's exactly it, man.
Than a pitch.
So it sounds like you had actually a pretty direct line to kind of the industry and getting started. But what was your biggest hurdle when you were learning?
My biggest hurdle when I was learning was probably, as far as technique goes, finding shading was like the biggest challenge for me. You know, getting that finesse and that startup and stuff like that. It probably wasn't until like a couple years in engraving do you get those, you know, increments, those aha moments, and finally started like putting things together during that time. But as far as, you know, challenges to learning the engraving and stuff, I honestly haven't had like too much trouble. This family, this community has given me so much and so many opportunities to be able to learn, and I'm forever appreciative of that.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What would you say inspires you the most when it comes to your work?
What inspires me the most? Classic design. I'm a really big fan of classic design, whether it be looking at the old Renaissance artwork or Baroque artwork. I think a lot of engravers like that style just because of the scroll work and stuff that we do. It's, you know, comes from that time period, and yeah, it's pretty synonymous with engraving, right?
Yep.
Scroll work and engraving just go hand in hand together.
Yep.
So,
on that kind of that same topic, who are some artists that you look up to or inspire you? And you don't have to just be engravers or diamond setters, but
it's true. Obviously, you know, Sam was obviously a big part of that drive to really learn and to hone in on this craft. As far as like, you know, older artworks and stuff, I really liked Homer as far as his watercolors and stuff like that. I always thought were amazing. And it was something like watercolors and anything with colors have always been a little bit of a struggle for me. So actually in college, I, you know, had my emphasis in engraving, but I had my minor in painting to just kind of like force myself to do something other than this very linear, you know, line work sort of art. So I always look towards those people too that can handle the colors and stuff like that better than me, as inspiration as well too.
Yep.
As far as like stone setters go, I haven't really followed a lot of stone setters. I don't know, engraving's kind of always been probably the majority of like my identity as as a jeweler and stuff like that. Stone setting was kind of a byproduct of just needing to work in the jewelry industry. One of the downsides that I had about working at the jewelry store was, you know, I was doing 98% repair work, and I didn't have very much creative outlet to make anything or to show off these skills that I learned in college and stuff. But that's why it's kind of nice now. That's why it's kind of nice now to be on my own. I get to do the engraving and stuff like that. The only downside is now I'm doing the opposite, complete opposite. Doing 98% engraving and then hardly any stone setting.
Yeah. And why would you say that's a downside?
Well, I love incorporating the two things together. I think that a piece can definitely be enhanced with stone setting, and you know, it can work very nicely as a nice accent piece to have some engraving around some stone setting, get a little bit of sparkle, and then you can get a little shine to add some interest into the stone around it with engraving. yeah, it can just really add another dimension to a piece.
Yeah.
But you don't really get a chance to do that unless if you're doing it on your own and making those pieces, because oftentimes people don't have like the vision or can picture how something is going to end up in the end.
That makes sense. If you weren't an engraver, diamond setter, or jeweler, what do you think you would have been?
Well, when I first went to college, I was on track to be an art teacher.
Okay.
So I was kind of going in the teaching direction anyways. But I just knew that I wanted to do something with art, and I knew that it's hard to be an artist and make money. So what's the next best thing to do? Be an art teacher, you know? But, you know, I'm really glad that I am able to, you know, make money on this, be successful with something that I love without settling just to be a teacher. But I also do love passing on this knowledge too. So the teaching aspect is important to me as well. But I just thought maybe I was gonna be a high school teacher, you know, something like that. But I had mixed feelings about that as well, because I didn't want students that were just in there to fly by, right, as a bird class or whatever. I wanted people that were actually like interested in what we're doing and put some effort towards it.
Passionate,
Yeah. And every student that comes here is, you know, passionate to be here.
Yeah.
They've taken time out of their busy day to like learn. So it's the best way to teach, in my opinion.
What advice would you have for a new artist that's starting out?
Oh my gosh. Well, you have to put in the practice, is just it. You know, while I was in college, I tried to get into and at the bench as much as I could during that time. And I was lucky enough to have it accessible to me here at GRS during the off times. But even at the college, if I was able to come in and work at the bench, I, you know, absolutely would. You have to take advantage of the time that you have, right? Because you only have so much time to invest in this thing and try to hone it in. So if it is something that you are extremely passionate about, and you know those people that are passionate about it because they do get obsessed about it a little bit. They get obsessed about it a little bit, you know, and they take maybe a little bit too much time working on it and stuff a little bit. But as long as there's deliberate practice, then it's all worth it, right? So yeah, that's my advice is, you know, making the time to practice, practice, practice.
All right, we're gonna jam through some rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
First thing that comes to mind, answer them truthfully.
My favorite color. Can you guess my favorite color?
I bet your favorite color is black.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Well, we have both. We have 2 cats and a dog. Do you want to
Pick one, dude.
Okay. Well, I like cats. I'm a cat person myself. My wife's the dog person.
Okay.
Even though I'm trying to convince her that she's actually a cat person. Because she likes to travel and things like that. And like cats are way better for that, you know? You can leave some food at the home and leave them for a couple of days.
Debatable.
Okay.
But I'm okay.
Okay.
Sweet or salty?
Salty. I like savory things, yeah.
What was your favorite Halloween costume you had when you were a kid?
My favorite Halloween costume. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the one I remember a lot. my mom, when I was young, she made a just like an astronaut costume, right? And so, because I wanted to be an astronaut. But at the time, John Glenn was going up into space he was like old.
Yeah.
So there was like I don't remember exactly why, but John Glenn, it was like really big at the time. So everybody was like, oh, you're John Glenn? I'm like, no, I'm an astronaut. It's like, yeah. So
That's
every house I went to, it was like, oh, John Glenn. And I was like, no, I'm an astronaut. I don't want to be John Glenn.
Not an airplane mechanic in Alaska, which is weird, but okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Favorite chips?
Favorite chips. I like all dressed.
Okay.
Have you had all dressed? You can get, they're actually very popular in Canada.
I was gonna say it's a Canadian.
Yeah, it's
right?
a kind of a Canadian thing. Or Zapp's makes like a voodoo style,
yeah, I've had those.
and that's pretty similar to all dress.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can get on board.
that's the American version of all dress, probably.
Favorite movie?
Oof, favorite movie? That's a tough one. I'm sure a lot of people probably stop at this point and think what that may be. I don't know. We watch a lot of movies just as like entertainment instead of watching TV, you know? But I don't know if I have a favorite. But as far as genre goes, I like romantic comedies.
Okay.
I like to have a laugh, you know? I'm not a big fan of like action movies. It's like too serious and stuff. It's like life's serious enough, so you may as well laugh. So I like to watch comedies.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Pineapple? I love pineapple on pizza. I love yeah.
What's your favorite smell?
My favorite smell? That's a good question too. But I can think of something very polarizing smell that I like that some people don't like, and that we use a lot at the bench too. Tap Magic.
Okay.
I love the smell of Tap Magic. To me, it smells like Christmas. Kind of has that Red Hots sort of smell.
Yeah.
Some people say it does not smell like Red Hots, and I'm like, you are crazy. But yeah, or at least that's one smell I can kind of think of that like maybe a little polarizing at the bench.
Isn't for everybody.
At the bench.
The one question I think everybody loves to know is what's your go-to graver?
My go-to graver, that's a 120 with a parallel heel or a tapered heel.
Shazam. Okay.
Shazam.
Man, Mitchell, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today. We'll let you finish up what you're doing. And
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I appreciate it.